What's up, guys? What's going on, man? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology's Daily Devo with Trust in Jesus Ministries. Glad you're here. We're going through Genesis 43:15 through 23. We've got the brothers meeting Joseph, or not yet, but they're headed down to Egypt and they're about to speak to Joseph. And we're going to see what's happening from there. So if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and read 43:15 through 23. Stop the tapes, check it out, see what it has to say. Come back, and then we'll answer the 4 questions. If you've already read, we're going to dive on in deep. And the first question is, man, you got to understand what the scripture is saying. You got to know what's going on before we can move on to everything else. So what is going on in the scriptures, my friends? It says that they took their brother. They took all the double the money, and then they took the food and all that stuff. The I guess the good portions, and they went on down to Egypt and they stood before Joseph. And so I guess it's this huge line, right, that goes before Joseph for all the people that are going to ask or buy for some food for the famine, because Joseph spots them in the line before they get up there, and he sees there's one extra person with them, which is Benjamin. And so when he sees Benjamin's with him, he talks to the guy that's over his house. He's like, "Hey, man, go ahead and get my brothers." He said, "Take them to my house." He said, kill the calf, get ready for a supper, man. They're going to eat with me at noon. So take them to my house and do all that." And he said his servant did it, man. He grabbed the stuff, killed the calf, got it ready, chopped it up or whatever, and got his brothers and brought them down there to his house. Now, his brothers, whenever they went to the house, they had a different notion about the fact of what's going on, man. They were real scared. They thought that maybe that they had brought him here because he returned all of the silver that was given to them. And so they were kind of worried. And so they went up to the servant, man, and they told him, "Hey, we got this stuff and we didn't know anything about it, man. It was just in our sacks. That wasn't anything on us. And so we returned it all to you, man." Because they were scared. They had already been locked up last time, and then still had their other brother Simeon locked up, and so they was tripping. I mean, how you feel, coming to a place with a person that you don't, or who has been hostile to you already, and now he swoops you up and takes you back to his house again. I'd be kind of afraid. But the servant told him, "Hey, man, don't be afraid." He said that your God and the God of your father. Oh, man. Where have we heard that? The God of your father. Your God and the God of your father, man. What's going on with this servant? He must know something. I think it's part of Joseph instructing this servant on the matters at hand, because Joseph has the same father, obviously, and the same God. And so I think he wants to give, because he's got to know that they're going to ask these questions. He's got to know that these brothers are going to wonder what's going on. Him swooping them up and bringing them to the house. And so he prepared this guy, and he let him know. Now it could even be, though, the fact that because of the influence that Joseph has had over the house, that he's having more of a witness too. Maybe this guy's saying to God, "Your God and the God of your fathers." Maybe he's saying something about him recognizing that Yahweh is a special God, that he is a true God and not a fake God. But that's speculation. That's all speculation, man. But the fact of the matter is that he wants them to recognize that their God has given them something as a treasure. He says, "Man, he has blessed you with this treasure." It's not, we know, Joseph, the master of the house, we know that it wasn't by your fault that you came by this money, but it was by your God's fault. He is the one who has blessed you with this. And so he said, "Be at peace. Do not fear." Man, those are some beautiful words when you recognize that God is blessing you, even in some of the worst situations, because they don't see it yet. We got this eagle's eye view looking down on them, on the situation of how Joseph is going to bless them and was testing them, and seeing it all from the bird's eye. But they're in the matter, they're in the thick of it, where everything seems to be against them, and yet another thing is against them. But this servant tells them that your God It's bringing you treasures, and you should be at peace. Man, that's something. That's something to think about in the midst of the troubles, how you should have peace because our God is with us. Anyway, after that, then they went and they got all the gifts ready that they had brought. They wanted to prepare them and bring them to Joseph as they recognized or heard, I guess, really, that they were going to be eating with him in the afternoon. So, what is this passage saying about God? Well, first off, it's saying our God is with us. He's a present God and he blesses, man. He blesses. So let's see that, man. Even in our deepest, darkest, even in our troubles and our tribulations, let's recognize that God is with his people, man. And he is blessing his people. But also, man, God is sovereign and works through others to achieve his purposes. So we all know, because we have the bird's eye view, that Joseph gave them all those things. And in that moment, Joseph was acting as the hand of God. Joseph was acting as the hand of God. And so, man, let's recognize that God works through people. God works through ordinary means, is what they call it. It's by people doing things for others. God works through that. So, what's this saying about man? Well, it's saying that we should be grace givers. We should be grace givers like God is a grace giver. Because it wasn't God physically placing those things into the sacks of those brothers. It wasn't even Joseph, it was his servants. But Joseph was the one that orchestrated it with his mandate for them to do so. And so for us as human beings, but especially as Christians, that we should be blessing others. We should be giving to others. We should be bestowing grace upon people because that is what we have received and that is the way of the Father. If you were with me when we went through Ephesians, and we talked about that we are to be imitators of God. And so as we live our lives, let us imitate what God is doing in this world. And so how do we apply these truths to our lives? Well, if we know that God works through people, if we recognize that God is moving through ordinary means, using humans as agents for his purposes, and we know that we're supposed to be imitators of God, that we're supposed to look like him, as Christian means little Christ, well, then we should take a look at how we're receiving people. Take a look at how we're treating people. Because to apply these truths, man, we must be grace givers. We must be sharing blessings upon people. And so today, look at your life and see. Take a scope, take a gander, and see: are you blessing people? Are you giving gifts? Do you look like Christ to others? I appreciate you guys for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.